this recent clip that I'm watching. Let me see if I have it here. Is what Sam Harris was missing. This is Paul McKeever, his channel. So, okay. Now, this is right at the beginning of his sort of detailing of what he thinks went wrong. But in his analysis, he brings up this idea of nested truth. And I know Jordan Peterson made reference to this. I couldn't really follow it at the time, though. But this summary sounds really interesting to me. From Jordan Peterson's perspective, science is a concept that's nested in moral truth, or morality. And from Sam Harris's perspective, morality is a concept that's nested inside of scientific truth or objective reality. Now, and as I'm sitting here trying to wrestle with which do I think is truer? Which do I think is truer? Here's the thing. I think we run into a problem, a bit of a paradox, when weighing these two concepts, because I think that in fact they are both right. It's so crazy, but they're both right. I think that objective reality is objective reality, and our consciousness does not have purview over objective reality. Okay? However, you could say the realm of man, while ultimately governed by objective reality, I think this idea of intention, what is it that directs man's vision, purpose, goal, has to be the purview of morality, right? So our highest arbiter, as we decide where to go next, what to do next, what do we conquer next, and how do we go about doing that, has to be morality. Now, for the purpose, for the sake, I think the simple enough reason that we are not we are actors operating inside of objective reality. We do not determine what objective reality is. So we have to find a method by which to move through objective reality in such a way as to be, to self-preserve, obviously, so we don't destroy ourselves, and I guess to meet our objectives. And what our objectives fundamentally have to do with, yes, survival, but also happiness and a certain amount of joie de vivre, right? Which is happiness. But but how do we get there, right? And how do we manifest that? So in that way, I think we are constrained. We're constrained by the fact that we are actors within an objective reality. We're constrained by the fact that because we don't have dominion over reality, we can in fact destroy ourselves. We are constrained by the fact that that we are affected by the choices that we make, right? To either good or to bad, right? We are constrained, and we are constrained, we are constrained, period. And then I think the ways that we can thrive, can best thrive and best flourish within these constraints is operate in such a way that morality is the final arbiter of our existence here, given our constraints. Um, so I think these things, so from a consciousness perspective, I think morality has to be our final arbiter because we do not have the purview of using objective reality because we are not on par with the, you know what I see? Like if you think about the scale of reality, we are not on par with that scale. Um, my understanding is objective reality is beyond our comprehension, just in terms of scale. Never mind um, truth. What is real? I mean, um, we are building every day our warehouse of knowledge. We are building every day. Um, and maybe there is some future version of man that is far more, uh, you know, wieldy. Um, but we're not there yet. Uh, and uh, I think that that's a material gap. I think that's a real thing. I think that's a real limitation or a real constraint. Um, and so the thing that we institute, and granted, you could say that it is a nested truth within objective reality, but it is our, as given the reality of what we are and who we are, it is our absolute truth because that has to be the thing that 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 helps us to maneuver this reality that we ourselves have no control over. Um, right? So I think these things are true together, right? I think that for us uh, to thrive, we have to place morality above everything else, um, or else we suffer because of the natural constraints that are our existence. Um, we are not unfeeling rocks. We are not unthinking mechanisms. We're complicated, organic, that will suffer, that will and do suffer consequences for the choices that we either do or don't make, right? And so we can allow nature her impartialness. We have no choice in the matter, but we have a choice where we are concerned. So I think deferring to morality as a absolute truth is perhaps a better mechanism for us in terms of our own sovereignty than to say, okay, well, morality is some vague concept that lives inside of objective reality and that we aspire to objective reality. How do we aspire to objective reality we cannot comprehend? I don't understand how we do that. How do we do that? What is the metric? What's the mechanism? Right? We study, we observe, we measure. We study, we observe, we measure. But how do we pilot ourselves through this objective reality in such a way as to not destroy ourselves, in such a way as to not destroy others, in such a way as to acknowledge who and what we are? Morality is the only tool by which we do that, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe that that's the way we do that. So that for us, while there is this objective reality, our mechanism, our metric is morality, as per consciousness, as per self-awareness. Self-awareness supersedes um, um, scientific objectivity because it acknowledges the complexities of the inner reality, feelings, loss, emotion, um, and all of the other constraints that are working on us, I believe. So I believe these two things are actually in coexistence with each other. Because of the nature of who we are. If we were just rocks, just sort of unthinking, unfeeling rocks, then the ultimate reality is the objective reality because it's indifferent how things turn out. It doesn't matter, right? But our intellect and our consciousness create continuity throughout time and meaning and context, which makes things consequential. As a result, hurt, suffering are meaningful to this organism that is mankind. And as a result of this reality, these constraints, we need something other than objective reality. We need morality in order to help to govern the inner workings, the consequences, the suffering. How do we mitigate that? How do we navigate that? How do we ensure that these things are taken into account for every choice that we make or every understanding that we come to as a result of studying this objective universe? How do we marry these two? I think that's the